This episode of the Boat Geeks is sponsored by The Boater's Guide, a free app for Pacific Northwest boaters. The Boater's Guide is adventure and information, right at your fingertips, right when you need it. Find your happy place with The Boater's Guide, a free download on your phone or tablet in the App Store and Google Play.
All right, here's another very special episode of the Boat Geeks podcast, recorded live on location at the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival 2024.
The 47th annual Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival, which is the granddaddy of wooden boat festivals in North America.
Yeah, and for a very good reason. It's a small marina, but they packed that thing full of amazing wooden boats, from the tiniest dinghy
all the way up to motor yachts and big schooners.
Yeah, it was just a pleasure sitting in between each show. We got to stare at all the boats and dream, and it was amazing to see so many beautiful boats in one place, as well as so many amazing and beautiful people in one place.
We met men and women from around the world that are part of this wooden boat universe.
Indeed, and it was a pleasure talking to every single one of them, and we got to meet some of you.
Yeah, some of our listeners and fans we got to interact with, and that was a real treat.
Let's get right into it. Here is the next episode of the Boat Geeks.
From the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival and recorded in the Fisheries Supply, live from the Wooden Boat Festival stage, it's the Boat Geeks with Darren and Daeron.
We're the Boat Geeks, whatever floats your boat. We're the Boat Geeks, it's the boat that floats that we love the most. Yes, we love the boat.
Welcome to another special edition of the Boat Geeks podcast, live from the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival 2024. I am your host, Darren.
I'm your other host, Darren, and right now in the interview stage, we have Sean Kooman, lead boat building instructor for the Northwest School of Wooden Boat Building.
That's
welcome.
Right. Yeah,
welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I feel like that's an important position at a wooden boat building school.
Yeah, it can be.
Well, there's so much to talk about and so little time. I would love to know how you got into wooden boat building. Were you into woodworking first and got into boats? Were you into boats first and got it? Like, what's your pathway to?
I think the best way I can find it all is I grew up on a small hobby farm in southern Minnesota.
Whoa.
And no.
Well, that trajectory makes total sense.
Exactly. Not a likely spot for boats. But I grew up in a time when there was I was just left to my own devices in the summer, and there was just got to do whatever. And so I had access to an old barn with old power tools, and I found a book at the local library that was actually one of Dynamite Payson's books called Go Build Your Boat. Go build your own wooden boat or something. Wow. And I just remember checking that out, and I photocopied the whole thing, just because I wanted the actual copy of the book.
Yeah.
Reference.
Why didn't you download a PDF?
I've never been someone who reads the words. I wanted the illustration. So I started trying to build a boat from the illustrations. And
Why a boat? Wow. Just because that's the book you found?
I was just enamored by it. I don't know if it was the book or what, but I've always just been enamored by boats. I don't know what it is. And so that's kind of where I started, was just messing around in a barn.
Reminds me, I read a book years and years ago called A Prairie Chicken Goes to Sea, written by a woman who grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan and ended up sailing around the world.
Yep.
It's that the draw of the open ocean, chasing sunsets, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Yep.
How successful was that first boat?
Oh, it was horrid. I mean, I was maybe 16 or 17 at the time, and it was a lot of lessons learned in a summer basically. And I remember I didn't want to loft it. I didn't know how to loft or anything, so I tried to make shapes that I could build the boat around. And I even went as far as I'm buying lumber from the local hardware store, and it's not working for steam bending and stuff like that. And I finally ended up cutting down my neighbor's white oak tree. Little did I know it was his until after the fact, but I had dropped a tree, and so I learned a lot about the
neighbors,
the lumber's got neighbors, yeah. And this neighbor being it was a field,
right?
And I was I don't know, it was a property line, but he came by and he was like, "Hey, what's all the noise out here?" And he was cool with it. But
good.
But yeah, so that was kind of my segue into steam bending. Was all the trial and error, breaking kiln dried frames and then using actual 1 week old green oak. Worked great.
And did the boat float?
That boat never floated. That was a boat that I framed it. I planked it with just like 1x4 pine and got it, to a hull. And then I, went on to another thing. So it ended up in a bonfire.
So you
but it was a round bottom boat,
You
And,
built that at 16, 17?
Yeah. Yep.
How many boats have you built since?
Oh, I don't even.
There's no
count.
way. There's no counting anymore, right?
Dozens, yeah. I mean, I know Ray Speck,
That's cool.
who was my instructor in boat school, is probably up to I think you said 135 or 140 or something, but I'm not, probably not even half that. But
Do you remember the first boat that you built where you were like, yes, I did a great job here.
good
The
question.
boat performs well. It does what it expected. You're
You
happy
were-
with
you
your
were happy with
craftsmanship.
it, Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know if I'm there yet. No.
That's awesome.
I mean, the first boat that floated was a boat shortly after that first try of just like basement plywood paneling wrapped in a kayak shape.
Yeah.
And it went in the local pond and it floated.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing, okay, I can move around here. And
Yes.
we couldn't get it out of the water because it absorbed, 50
Minor detail.
pounds of water.
Yeah.
And then what lesson was that?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think, I dabbled with it a bit in college. I got into a college where they had an entrepreneurial program for starting your own business. And as a freshman in college, I was like, oh, that could be fun. So I started a boat building business on the side. And that's where I really finally started getting more serious about it and building simple boats like strip plank canoes and small rowing shells. And I built a little flat bottom skiff. And that was probably the first boat where I was like, okay, it works.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
can row it. You can put an outboard on it. And it was really basic, but it was really, really satisfying to do.
I
that.
love stories like that where
Yeah.
people just decide, I want to do something, and you do it.
We should have Sean on a full episode in
Yes.
our studio where we can really get into detail
Yeah.
about this,
I know, you're wanting to-
evolution.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Because, it's gone from there to where you are now, lead boat building instructor. How long have you been at the Northwest School of Wood and Boat Building?
Since 2011. So it's be my 13th
Wow.
year. Yeah. Going on.
And when did you become lead?
2015.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big job.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, not as it just responsibility in terms of, your day-to-day and your instruction, but I mean, you've got kind of a legacy in terms of those
the school has an
students.
incredible legacy. Yeah.
Well, but you do too.
And that was the hardest part of going into that role was I had only been there just a few years and it's just how the timing worked out. And I was filling some massive shoes of Jeff Hammond and Tim Lee and Ray Speck and all of those who are all my instructors in school.
Right.
And I was like, I would never be able to do that. And then it just
And here
happened.
you are still doing
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And you've got, do you know how many people that were your students that are here in some capacity? I mean,
Or have been at recent shows
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah. that must be really cool for you.
I think we see a fairly high percentage of folks that come back over, if you measured out 5 or 10 years at a time, that come back to visit because they just want to come to the festival, or they've come by boat, or they work here and live in town still.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine. But what is, I mean, there maybe isn't an official relationship, or is there, with the boat school and the festival? I mean, you're a presenter. Kevin's
Yep.
presenting.
Yep.
Betsy's got
Betsy's got
Glory
a boat.
B here.
Yeah.
But can you talk a little bit about how, the synergy
Yeah.
between the festival and the school?
Yeah. Well, I think their synergies, they all kind of came to be at a similar time, late 70s, early 80s. And so they've kind of always grown in parallel that way. But I think it's, for us, we kind of treat it as our end of the year party because our students they graduate next week.
Yeah.
And that's always been kind of that time of year where you're like, okay, we're going to go now celebrate the boats and the builders and the people and all the craftsmanship. And so it's become really kind of a milestone for their year to come here and see all of these things they've been learning and doing. And now they see the boats in the water. It's really cool.
The
to finish that way.
possibilities
Yep.
that are
Oh, yeah.
represented here.
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
And then when you're graduating, obviously there's a thriving, if you're going to get a wooden boat worked on in the Pacific Northwest, this is the place to do it. We both hired past graduates from the school, and they're excellent. The instructors there are phenomenal. What's really neat, the instructors are they love to share. So, and like Chris Dunn's worked on my boat a lot, and he was an instructor there. And what was really neat about him working on the boat was that he liked to instruct while he was working on the boat. But
constantly teaching, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is. And I see that same thing in some of the graduates that have worked under him. And so I love the fact that we're seeing younger people. I mean, you're young yourself compared to us, but just seeing younger people getting excited about the industry and getting excited about wooden boats and history. And it's just really, it's awesome.
It's reassuring.
Yeah,
it is.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's a really, a notable change in the school the last decade or so is our average age of, student body every year would be like in the late 30s, 38, 39. Now it's like 30, 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's become a really good way to pull just different energy into the area. And of course, all of those people don't stick around. They go off and build in other parts of the world or other adventures, but a fair number stick around. And I think that keeps a good constant flow of like just young folks coming to town and families, which is really nice.
My 14-year-old, we're part of the Port Townsend Yacht Club, and we do the scholarship fund.
Yes,
Darren's part of it too. And so every April we have quite a few scholarship recipients come in and tell their story, and so many of them, there's a good percentage that go to the Wooden Boat School.
Yep.
And my daughter was just enthralled, and she's talking about how in her age, when she finally graduates, she's talking about, what am I going to go to college, or am I going to?
Sure.
And there's kind of a little bit of interest, and so
that's so cool.
I'm going to kind of steer a little bit the trades.
Yeah.
And Darren talks about the trades all the time, and that's what we need to really strengthen, keep going. And I think your daughter, my daughter, are perfect examples.
My daughter's talked about the trades as well. Because I think there's been a resurgence in attention given to trades. As I was growing up, it was always just college.
Likewise.
Never heard go into the trades.
Yep.
And I feel that our country and certainly the areas I've lived in have paid the price for that. Not enough people getting into the trades. But on the encouraging side, in the last year or so, I've talked more and more to young people that are getting into the trades, and a lot of that has to do with the boat building school and the Maritime Center.
Definitely.
And what's exciting is that they're not like, I'm going to school to work. Like, there's excitement here. There's they're
palpable.
Like I can feel it. And if I were their age, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Like if I could go and do it over again, I would have been into working on boats. I would have been going to the Wooden Boat School and taking advantage of it.
He still wants to. He might take one of the intensive week-long
absolutely
courses if he can get in.
Yeah, and that's what the Maritime Center has been so amazing at, is building all this program for even little kids. Like I have I have a 3, 5, and 8-year-old, and my 5 and 8-year-old were here summer for multiple weeks doing the
sailing camps.
The camps. And it was just so cool. I mean, my daughter's 8 and she's learning how to like
capsize the boat
and bring it back.
My daughter did the same thing.
What? I never had that as a kid.
No,
and I just think it's such a good way to get that interest and naturally early on in life. And then if they like it, they do. It's not like
you don't have to.
In high school when you're like, oh, you want to go to the boat school? They're like, I don't have no context for that. So it's really cool what they've done.
Is the 3-year-old the one that did your voicemail?
That's actually my daughter when she was 3. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But they take
it's
turns
the
on
cutest.
there.
You just got to call his phone to get the daughter's voicemail.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally cute. But.
Yeah. Thank you.
So youth in boating, I think, is a big deal, and I'm seeing a lot of great promotion and encouragement in that direction. But what other types of students do you get at the school? Do you still get old guys like me coming in, and they have their own wooden boats or something, and they want to be able to do? Yeah,
we get a whole mix of people. I think that's always been one of the best values you get there, because you get these folks that are coming from high school who have literally zero life experience, and then you have folks that are retired and come in, and everyone's kind of,
they can feed off each other.
The boats, I always say the boats are the easy part. Like that's the byproduct of what we're doing, and the product is the people that we're working with. And so it makes it richer and in some ways a little easier for us, because you have all of these people with so many different backgrounds and life experiences, and then they're passing that on to not just the younger generation, but everybody. So it's a good kind of mix in there.
I find that I have things to learn from the younger generation as much as the other way around.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
So every cohort is completely different.
Every cohort's different. Yeah. And
That's so cool.
Over the last decade, we've really shifted to becoming a trade school, where it's like we used to have like a pretty high percentage of avocational students, which was great for what it was, but you would find a different like kind of approach and drive in their time at the school.
Yeah.
And so the vocational track now has really helped to like, okay, we're actually getting lots of input from the trades here, from the Shipwrights Co-op in Haven, but also other boatyards across the country to help kind of flavor the programs in the right way to support them, and so that's really helping a lot.
It's a two-way communication with the actual places where your students will graduate and potentially find employment. So.
Yep.
So do you have any favorite boats out here?
Oh, all the time. I mean, this is a deadly place for me to come and hang out.
Are there any boats here that you've worked on?
There's,
Clean Bay,
just most recently, all the boat school boats in there. I've helped with a bunch of those, different aspects of them. I actually haven't been into the festival to like walk around yet and look at the boats, but I'm sure there's a fair number of boats around. I came in on Sparkle this afternoon. They were bringing her over from town. It's like, I'll give you guys a hand. It sounds great.
Right on.
So it's kind of fun it's always fun to come in by water. It's the best way to get in.
Now, a boat builder, do you own a boat?
I do. I currently own a little 12-foot skiff. What's the design? Joel White design. The, not the nutshell pram, but
that other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
Shellback dinghy. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a little shellback that I built maybe 5 years ago when my daughter was just little, and we've been taking that out more and more. Just such an easy, like throw it in the back of the truck, get to the water, go sail, back in, But yeah, it's just a matter of time before bigger boats enter again,
I always wonder, I ask that with anybody that works on boats all day, every day. But the majority have had their own boats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's hard not,
this community is a very boat-centric.
There's a lot of boat geeks around here.
There are.
Yeah, everybody's a boat geek.
Yep.
At least walking this festival. So
agreed.
So if somebody is interested in taking part in the wooden boat building program, what should they do? What's the website again?
It's www.nwswb.edu.
NWSWB. We'll put it up there, and then in the show notes.
You said it really fast when we had Betsy on.
That's because I prepped for it. I'm not going to attempt doing it right now, but
it's a lot of letters.
Yes, it is. Okay, and how long is the program? It's 9 months. Is that
the systems program's 9 months? The boat building is 12.
12.
1 year,
and it's full time. 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I always just tell people, like, if you catch us online, like if you can come down to the school and check it out anytime. We love having prospective students visit.
There's 1 day a month. Which one is it?
There's a first
open
Friday.
House?
There's a first Friday tour every first Friday at 3, I believe is when it is. Yeah. And that's a great way to come in. But those that are interested in the program can come anytime.
Make an appointment.
Yep.
Speaking of beautiful wooden boats, I love our studio. Just all these boats that pass by, I get very distracted.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my favorite boat is the William Garden design Sophia.
Oh, yeah.
The North Atlantic trawler look.
Beautiful.
God, I just drool over her.
We'll go geek out some more this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I would highly recommend going and taking a tour. I took a tour about a year ago, and the facility is phenomenal. So if you're like on the fence about it, just come out here. I think that will change your mind completely. And, in terms of wooden boat building and wooden boats, this is the community. This is the place to be. You take that course and you could probably get, you do well, you could get employed right here in Paradise. Anything that you would like to say before we sign off and before we have you back for a full podcast, because there's a lot we want to talk to you about. Anything you want to mention?
No, thank you so much for
having me. You're not pushing a book that you've written or
no books.
Your new movie.
My main thing is get out there and have fun on the boats.
Heck there we go. That's what it's all
about. It's like get out there, enjoy the water.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy your afternoon and get to check out all the boats. And that is it for another episode of the Boat Geeks. Until next time, whatever floats your boat.